Back to you, WB2GCR from WC1X.
Oh, wow. West Virginia. Hey, that's a pretty good haul. I'm impressed suitably. Yeah, handles Bear, Baker Echo Alpha Romeo. And I am in Small Bunny, the capital of New York State, otherwise known as Albany. Yep. Well, you're about Q5, but about an S whatever. And I hear you. So you're making the run up from West Virginia. How about them apples? That's pretty good. That's a fur piece. WB2GCR.
Okay, fine, Bear. Yeah, that's a pretty good hop for this time of day. It's my background noise level on receive is absolutely quiet, S0. And you're about S5 to S8, some deep fades, but I hear you through the trough. But anyway, I'm just running a Johnson Valiant transmitter, about 135 watts carrier output. Receiver's a AR88, and the antenna's a 40-meter dipole up about 50 feet. And we're at the tippity top of a ridge here, about 1,850 feet ASL. So that I find that helps quite a bit. Anyway, that's the story, Bear. Back to you, WB2GCR from WC1X.
Yeah, WC1X. Very good, Mark. Also running a Valiant 2 Duce with a modified Spleech amplifier, a modulator, I should say. Well, yeah, the speech amp is modified. 2. This is a pair of 6DQ5s in the modulator. So it's got a fair amount of monkey swing available to it. Pretty good. Fine on the setup there. Yeah, this is a 80-meter dipole fed with lossy coax, real crap coax. Oh, I got a call coming in, so stand by one.
But anyway, yeah, in California, I lived in Linden, so if I look, and I was in the valley. I lived on a 50-acre walnut grove, but if you look towards the northeast, you can see the Sierra Nevadas and Lake Tahoe. And at that distance, that mountain range didn't look very tall, way out on the horizon. And 80 miles away, I could see mushroom clouds of smoke columns, and at night I could see just behind the just the other side facing away from me, you could see the glow of the mountain when it was really raging. And it was one of those events that, I don't know how many million acres and, 1,300 homes destroyed and several fatalities. And of course, we saw it all the time on local news that we're watching, so. And I could Falcon jets to first spot the fire, get a position on it, and then you get out helicopters, and then the big tankers come in. And I knew a few hams that they didn't lose their homes, but the house was covered with that red, almost gelatin-like stuff, fire retardant. They dump on fires and try to provide fire break. And his house was covered in that stuff, and it had his house was all pink from it. But, within a week or so, CAL FIRE was out there with contractor employees and scrubbing down his house and washing it down. Completely water-soluble, but, yeah, life in a fire zone. But I was in the valley, so, surrounded by cows and walnut groves and peach trees, so easy to get in and out. You could spot a fire miles away, but we never was directly affected by that. Anyway, doing some stuff outside, some landscaping, and running around my ATV, collecting some dead fall trees that I need to cut up later on and put in a wood splitter and all that fun stuff. Oh no, yes, we're doing some painting today, so. Keeping busy. All right, back to you, Paul, unless Bear got back in. This is WC1X.
Huh. Must be a complication of some kind. WC1X. WA3VJB right back. Yeah, it's, I guess part of the, comes with the territory, I guess is the cliche. You feel bad for the people who live in those fire zones. But it seems to happen more frequently and with more severity than ever before. It's kind of like the hurricane damage and just basic storm damage on the Outer Banks, with which I'm more familiar. Our cherished Ocracoke was inundated by Hurricane Dorian, which scored a direct hit on the island. It's reachable only by ferry boat or light aircraft, small aircraft. And man, they just had a lot of devastation there 3 or 4 years ago. Still rebuilding from it. And my brother-in-law has a cabin on Virginia's eastern shore that's accessible only by boat. Can't get a road to it because it's kind of an island. It's surrounded by marshland to the back, and waters of the Chesapeake Bay that are, I don't know, a couple of feet deep at the most. It's still navigable in a small boat like our own, but makes you wonder what's going to happen with rising sea levels if the bay winds up, doing that as well. That the storms are all the more risky when there's a surge of some kind, or either wind-powered or even the moon-related phase of the moon tide, lunar tides. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. I don't see an email address. I'm changing subjects. I don't see an email address on your Z page. If you can send me an email, the following topic might be of interest. You may already know about it. There's a bit of a waveform asymmetry. Your lower sideband is stronger than your upper on that Johnson transmitter. I've got a fairly good visual portrayal of it on one of the SDR nodes that I've made a recording of. But as I said, you're probably already familiar with it, but I was just going to mail it off to you anyway and have a look, because your signal's so strong. I've got it opened up. The passband is opened up all the way. It's got a nice, healthy sound to it, like you're modulating it very strongly, densely, not over-modulating, but just nice, dense modulation. But as I was dialing it in, Mark, it had this brightness on the low side of center frequency that's not there on the high side. And I wonder if you know about that and what it might be. Very curious. WC1X, WA3VJB.
AB2RA.
Hi, Janice.
AB2RA recognized, and this is WC1X. Yeah, very good, Paul. Yeah, I'm well aware of it. And I've improved it a bit, but I think there's some RF maybe getting into the VFO, or maybe the modulation circuitry. And I'll have to look and investigate that further, but it'll require me taking the over and do some waveform checks. But it used to be much worse. And I use a heathkit monitor scope and make sure I'm not going into flat topping, and also if I drive it too hard, you start to see that asymmetry. But it used to be much worse before. It used to be most of my audio content was on the lower sideband. Got the same problem with the Ranger. So I don't know. It's an affliction that strikes the WC1X ham shack. But I think maybe some phase shifting. Maybe I need more shielding on some of those wires, cables underneath the rig, and that might help prevent it. But yeah. Anyway, back over to the braking station. You have a very strong signal, and my name is Mark, and I'm running a Johnson Valiant, as Tim would call it, AR88 receiver, and a dipole up about 50 feet. So, braking station, go ahead.
Yeah, wow, Mark, good signal. And boy, an AR88 one of those passed through my hands years ago. I couldn't afford to keep it. I had a lot of financial setbacks over my life. But I know exactly what is causing your sideband asymmetry. I don't want to intrude on an existing QSO, but if you want to hear the solution, I would be glad to transmit it to you. I have a terrible cold here, so my voice is in terrible shape. My name is Janice Julia Alpha November India Sierra, and I'm located about halfway between Ithaca and Watkins Glen. So let me know if you want to hear the whole story.
Okay, I'm all ears. Go ahead, Janice.
Okay, now this information is available from W8JI, Whiskey 8 Juliet India, on his website, and also mine, which is wirelessgirl.com. You click on the vintage equipment and then transmitters, and then you'll see a list of transmitters, and you'll see a whole number of articles on the Valiant. I spent a lot of time crawling around the inside of a Valiant once upon a time. Anyway, the straightforward solution is that the plate tuning capacitor in the Valiant and the Ranger are isolated on fiber washers, and there's a cheesy little wire to ground them. And the tuning shaft passes to the front panel right next to the side of the VFO, and on 40 meters, when everything operates straight through, the VFO is on 40 and the final output is on 40, and it couples into the VFO and pulls it, so you have simultaneous FM and AM. That results in asymmetrical sidebands. If you remove the fiber washers and replace them with stainless steel or rust-free metal washers, it will completely solve this problem on both transmitters. And I'll turn back to you, see if you got any questions. AB2RA.
Yep. Well, I'm aware of that. I'm looking in the back of my transmitter. Yeah, I affected that mod using stainless steel hardware. I bored out the hole a little bit, and I used a ceramic feed-through with stainless steel washers, and improved it a bit, but not much. And this is on all bands. Same thing with the Ranger. I affected the same mod and still have that issue. So, and what I use is ceramic feed-through, one piece on each side that goes into each other, and I use a stainless steel screw, or threaded rod, I guess you could call it. And this is a very small ceramic feed-through with stainless steel hardware. Still got the same problem, although it did improve it. So, but I'll revisit that. Who knows? Maybe things got loose and I got to tighten it up. But it did improve it. But I still have the effect you're seeing now. So I have to go through that again. And I've been through. Oftentimes I go to W8JI's website, and he's got a lot of practical knowledge and experience with a lot of different things. But thanks for the info, Janice. Back to you.
Yeah, you don't want a ceramic feed-through on that. You want a metal bolt to ground the frame of that capacitor directly to the chassis. Get rid of the ceramic feed-through. Just a regular bolt and a stack of enough washers so you don't have any bend in the shaft trying to bolt it down to the chassis. Okay, that's the number one fix. The number two fix, which isn't on a W8JI, it's on mine, and I think WA1QIX discovered this. There is a coil in some of the later versions of the Valiant 1, which is in the VFO output circuit, and they tell you to peak that, I believe, on 20 meters. And I believe his direction is to take, I believe it's L17, and unscrew that all the way. You'll still have enough drive, but it will supposedly help with the VFO FMing. So take a look at Wireless Girl website. I have several articles, and I can't point you exactly to the right spot, but if you wade through all that stuff, there is a section on VFO pulling. But if you directly ground that plate tuning capacitor and address L17, I had this problem with mine, and using these in tandem, it went away. AB2RA.
Okay, very good. Yeah, the plate tuning cap, it is, I've removed those fiber washers, replaced them with, I forget, some kind of metal washer. So I also did that through, and there's some, I'm racking my brains here, there was a feed-through that went below chassis from the tank circuit somewhere. And I used fiber washers with two little, with one little screw going through it with a little like lug, and soldered to that. So I used the ceramic feed-throughs for the RF going underneath the chassis. I think that went to the, those fixed capacitors for coupling beneath the chassis, which I've replaced with doorknobs. So what that leaves me with is L17. So I'm going to look at L17. I haven't approached that part of the rig, but that's probably it, because the other two items I've resolved, and it did make an improvement. So I got to attack L17 and monkey with that and get that corrected. So thanks for the tip. Was unaware of L17 being an issue, so we'll look at that, Janice. Over.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for monopolizing an existing QSO. I'm working on the workbench, and my voice is terrible. I won't be able to carry on, but I will say 73. I just wanted to jump in, hopefully save you some trouble. I'll be listening in the background if you got any questions. AB2RA.
Okay, Janice, thanks. And Paul, hopefully you're still there.
Yeah, somebody's underneath there trying to join us, too. Is that you, Bear?
No, that was WB3EIN.
Hey, good morning to you. Let me get you written down here. WB3EIN, Echo India November. And the group WA3VJB. Name here is Paul. Location Annapolis, the capital of Maryland. And yeah, I'm kind of headed for the door now, Mark. Very good morning to Janice. Sorry to hear you're a little under the weather. It's good to hear your voice, even as ragged as you may consider it being. And I'll look forward to spending a little more time when I've got it here on the radio. So good morning to WB3EIN. You may have some contributions to the technical discussion at hand. Take my place in the rotation and run with it. I'm going to be listening out. Good signal, S7 to S9, but it's very quiet on the band, where Mark is up around 15 to 20 over, and Janice, you were around 10 to 15 over, I think, just by ear. I didn't look at the meter. WB3EIN, good morning to everyone. WA3VJB.
Morning, everybody. This is WB3 Echo India Mike. My name's Dan, Sierra Tango Alpha November, located in near Watkins Glen, New York, very close to where Janice is. she's been helping me with a DX60 project, and I was just about ready to try to put it on the air to see how it sounded. If you guys could indulge me for just a few minutes.